In a second major provocation by China's military, a Chinese warship carried out what the U.S. military called an unsafe maritime interaction. The encounter comes as both countries trade charges for not holding military talks, raising the specter of future face-offs. In the video released by the U.S. Navy, a voice can be heard in English, apparently sending a radio message to the Chinese ship, warning against attempts to limit freedom of navigation, though the exact wording is unclear because of the noise that has been caused by the winds at sea. Now, the video shows that the Chinese ship was sailing across the path of the destroyer, which reportedly had to slow down to avoid a collision.
The U.S. Navy has released a video of what it calls a, quote, unsafe interaction with a Chinese warship, in which the Chinese ship cuts in front of a U.S. vessel within 150 yards. The U.S. military said its destroyer, the USS Shangfu, as well as the Canadian frigate, were conducting a routine transit of the sensitive Taiwan Strait at the time. In the video, the Chinese ship can be seen sailing across the path of the destroyer, which reportedly had to slow down to avoid a collision. Canadian Navy Commander Paul Mountfort witnessed the incident firsthand.
The fact that this was announced over the radio prior to doing it clearly indicated that it was intentional. Maneuvering close to each other, 150 yards is very scary. And you don't ever want to be that close to another vessel because too many things can go wrong and you can actually have a collision.
China's military has rebuked the United States and Canada for the joint exercise. And on Monday, Beijing said their ship operated in a legal and safe manner. On Sunday, Taiwan's defense ministry called on China to respect the right to freedom of navigation. China views Taiwan as its own territory, a claim the government in Taipei strongly rejects. The incident comes as Beijing and Washington traded blame for not holding military talks. Tension between the two over trade, Taiwan, and Russia's invasion of Ukraine has escalated in recent weeks. This is the second such encounter in recent days. On May 26, the U.S. said a Chinese fighter jet carried out a, quote, unnecessarily aggressive maneuver near a U.S. military plane in international airspace over the South China Sea.
What China is doing, I think it is a dangerous incident because, by and large, if the waters were considered territorial seas, even if so, assuming that it happened within Chinese territorial waters, the fact that you might be impeding what we call innocent passage by foreign warships could actually be dangerous, not just operationally and not just from the standpoint of safety, but also dangerous to international order in itself. It wasn't exactly very surprising to see that those visits in the Taiwan Strait by U.S. Navy ships or with or without allied vessels. I think it's clear that the sort of show of force is necessary to demonstrate political resolve. And what was also interesting is that this incident, even though the naval forces from the PLA were shadowing both the HMCS Montreal as well as the USS Chongqing, but the close encounter actually happened to just the US Navy ship, not the Canadian ship. So I think it's very clear that China is laser focused on the US as its main adversary, and the signal is largely to the US more than anything else.
And a cordial handshake over dinner is no substitute for a substantive engagement.
历史正确的一边，站在地区各国共同利益的一边。
Thank you all.
Potentially, if China continues with that, then there's a greater likelihood of an international uproar, and it might potentially trigger an international response to what was viewed to be, moves that will undermine international freedom of navigation and overflight in the area. So that is the reason why I believe Beijing is aware of the likely repercussion, and therefore, going forward, this incident might be a one-off. I'm not trying to say that it won't happen again, but I won't see that necessarily degenerating into a regular occurrence.